Hey everybody, it's Shireen Vishmaya, and I'm coming to you straight from the Red Rocks in Sedona, Arizona, and I wanted to share with you this amazing landscape, perfect for the Sagittarius new moon. And we've got this amazing flute player who plays 8 songs for healing, balancing, love, joy, peace, release, and did I get all of them? Union, I think, is the one I forgot. I'll put them, I'll write them underneath in the video notes. But anyway, I just thought it would be a beautiful background to kind of take in the new moon energy. It's very peaceful, very inspired. I feel very connected to nature, and being up high, Sagittarius is heights. So an expansive vistas. And it's in the, I'm not a Vedic astrologer, but I'm here at the Sedona Vedic Astrology Conference, which is why I'm here. And I also just finished a Vortex Diaries retreat. And this new moon is actually in the nakshatra of Anuradha, which is the one I was born under for my ascendant. So it's 4 degrees Sag in Western astrology, but it's, if you're a Vedic astrologer, it's actually a new moon in Scorpio in Anuradha. And in any case, we're also having this beautiful Venus-Jupiter conjunction happening over the next 24 hours, which is not necessarily so rare, Venus-Jupiter, but what's rare is the fact that they're aligning right on the galactic center. Oh, now we have peace. Peace on earth. So there we go. We'll spread his energy. So that's a beautiful message for the new moon in Sagittarius. So yeah, we're all really contemplating how we can bring more truth, more inspiration. Sorry, I'm trying to get out of the direct light of the sun. I can't even tell if I'm visible on the video because it's so bright. It's beautiful. But the light of truth, it's a very enlightening new moon. It does bring the truth to the surface, and it's a time when we really check in on where we've been not so truthful with ourselves or with others. And in the current Project 40, we're about day 27 now, and we've been doing a lot of deep work on truth and purging and extracting envy and all of its cousins, which really disguise other childhood wounds that the Scorpio energy, even Mars in Scorpio, is now helping us to bring that to the light. And going from Scorpio to Sagittarius is all about bringing the darkness and the shadows to light for truth. But we can't skip that step, and I think that's what a lot of people try to do in spiritual work, is just kind of skip the shadow work. And then that's why we have all these problems on Earth, because there's an imbalance, because people don't want to kind of do the deeper healing of the childhood wounds. So a lot of these shadows get projected outward onto the enemy or the other out there. So this is really an opportunity and a time for us to tune inward and get really honest in our hearts about where we may have been deflecting shadow. With envy, often what happens is it's a withheld compliment, is what I've realized on a deep level. So anytime you're admiring, or then that admiration turns to envy in some way, usually that's when you're withholding a compliment. But if you turn that energy around, you transmute it into an expression of gratitude and a compliment for the person or the thing that you might have initially felt envious of because you felt you wouldn't have access to it, or it would be taken from you, or you would be rejected in some way, or whatever the underlying wound is. The minute you voice the compliment or the appreciation or the expression of gratitude and admiration or love, it completely transmutes. Now he's doing unconditional love, so it's perfect. It immediately transmutes it. The minute you own, I did this with Caitlin, we do a lot of deep work together, and we did this with each other over our last retreat, the Vortex Diaries, because this vortex brought it all up to the surface. So we had a really deep clearing and discussion and healing around that in our own relationship, and we're really close. And it's usually the people we're closest to that we might not actually even realize that there's subtle strands of that going on at times, because it's like siblings, you know, it becomes like sibling rivalry in some ways. And we don't often want to admit it because we feel it's gonna break the friendship in some way. Especially with women, I find, like often with the men, the masculine, it's like more kind of open competition. It's kind of easier to speak it out. And with women, it becomes a shadow because we're taught we have to be so supportive, and we are supportive, and that is our nature. But then if other energies creep in that are competitive, we don't often know what to do with them. So I think the way to transmute them is to honor them, speak them out loud, and turn them into a compliment, because once it becomes a compliment, it's like you're not disassociating from it in a way or feeling like it's outside of you. You know, you're celebrating it and merging with it in a way that you really honor the other person, and then you come back into the higher vibration in yourself. So it's a deep work. I mean, I've been doing shadow work for 20 years, but I would say this is probably the most potent shadow work I've ever done, because I'm really trying to excavate at the deepest levels and not bullshit myself in any way, you know, and really having to look into those darker psychic recesses and corners where, you know, these more wounded emotions hide. That's what I'm finding. It's just bringing a lot of compassion for those places in us. And the other thing I've come to realize with envy, and I feel this is a Sagittarius new moon topic, because moving from Scorpio to Sag, like I said, birthing the Sagittarius energy is the truth. Speaking the truth and taking the darkness and bringing it into light. And what is the truth? And with Venus, Jupiter, it's a beautiful alignment to help us get back into the generosity and the celebration of what's beautiful and what we love and who we love, and not disassociating or separating from those harder questions that might keep us from a more expansive outlook. Seeing the bigger picture, that's what Sagittarius is about, not getting stuck in the smaller viewpoint. Union. Unconditional love of the Creator. The oneness. Okay, oneness. Purpose of the universe. Yes. So that's the song you're hearing in the background now. So doing that requires a lot of deep digging, and this is a great new moon to kind of incubate those reflections and not be afraid to go there. And what I'm advising all my clients to do, or encouraging them to do, is to turn the withheld compliments into love letters, you know, or confessions of what they admire, if you're envious of something, it's something you probably desire or would like to have in your life in some way. So this is a great opportunity, sorry, my arm's getting tired, to express that. So anyway, then see how your new moon expressions come to fruition over the next 6 months, when we get to the full moon in Sagittarius in June. And I hope you all have a really, really beautiful new moon in Sagittarius and Venus Jupiter alignment on the galactic center, which, by the way, in Vedic astrology, that's Mula, the nakshatra of Mula, which is all about uprooting the dishonesty and the shadows and the untruth. So there's always a beautiful crossover between the themes in Western and Vedic astrology. We're often talking about the same thing, we just have a different way of getting there, but we don't contradict each other. It's just using a different system to kind of speak. It looks like we're speaking a different language, but we're actually coming to the same conclusions, which is a very comforting and reassuring reconciliation of the two, speaking of union and oneness. So again, beautiful blessings and wishes for the powerful new moon in Sagittarius.